Hi everybody, welcome back. If you're just joining us, we are reading What is to be Done by Vladimir Lenin. Today we're going to be finishing up Chapter 1, Section A. We're going to be talking about two of my favorite passages from this chapter, so I'm really excited to talk about it. If you're following along with this particular version of the book, we are on the bottom of page 15. So to get started here, bottom of page 14. This one, anyway, to get started here, freedom is a grand word, but under the banner of free trade, the most predatory wars were conducted. Under the banner of free labor, the toilers were robbed. So this is a really interesting idea that Lenin is going to elaborate later on in his life. But let's talk about the surface level aspects of this first. Is using the term freedom as sort of like a guise or a cover to do bad things to lots of bad people. You say that you are fighting for free trade, but what you're really doing is fighting for unequal or exploitative trade. You say that you're fighting for free labor, but what you're actually doing is trying to exploit people. So this is the surface level argument. Okay, so let's take the United States as an example when we talk about this. The United States loves to talk about like freedom and free trade and democracy and things like that, liberal ideals. The United States, throughout its entire history, has been extraordinarily wealthy, has prided itself on its freedom, and yet, at almost every turn, seems to make the exact wrong decision when it is left to its own devices. The freedom of the United States has allowed it to cause an immeasurable amount of suffering throughout all of history. By far the most evil place in the entire world, in all of history, is the place that has, like, supposedly the most freedom. So Lenin was writing this in the early 20th century. We are now in the year 2026. We just recently celebrated the 250th anniversary of the founding of the United States, and for all of that 250 years, the United States has been terrible. Lenin, writing this 120 years ago, already understood that the United States, when left to its own devices, was completely evil. This argument just has gotten stronger and stronger and stronger with time. So I love pointing this out. It's really interesting to me. And to bring this point back to the central thesis of the book, which is that we need to be actively working towards a revolution instead of passively waiting for it to happen. If socialist revolutions were capable of arising spontaneously, or if they arise as a result of a country like getting far enough along into capitalism, it definitely would have happened by this point, right? Again, Lenin is talking 120 years in the past, and he already recognized that that was impossible. So 120 years into the future, even after these ideas were out into the open, and the US hasn't had a socialist revolution, is kind of proving Lenin's point that we need a vanguard party to be actively working towards revolution. Okay, so to continue reading, the term freedom of criticism contains the same inherent falsehood. Those who are really convinced that they have advanced science would demand not freedom for the new views to continue side by side with the old, but the substitution of the old views by the new views. The cry, "Long live freedom of criticism," that is heard today too strongly calls to mind the fable of the empty barrel. This is another one of those situations where we don't have to know what the fable of the empty barrel means. We're going to skip it, okay? So continue on to one of my favorite sections in this book. We are marching in a compact group along a precipitous and difficult path, firmly holding each other by the hand. We are surrounded on all sides by enemies, and are under their almost constant fire. We have combined voluntarily, especially for the purpose of fighting the enemy, and not to retreat into the adjacent marsh, the inhabitants of which, right from the very outset, have reproached us with having separated ourselves into an exclusive group, and with having chosen the path of struggle instead of the path of conciliation. So here, this is obviously a metaphor for those who are going to stick with pure Marxism. I don't know if I can call it pure Marxism, as opposed to the reformers, the liberals, the economists, people like that. And now several in our crowd begin to cry out, "Let us go into this marsh." And when we begin to shame them, they retort, "How conservative you are. Are you not ashamed to deny us the right to invite you to take a better road? This one, if you've ever had like a principled Marxist view, especially online or maybe even with your friends, you will find that people will hate you for this almost all the time. So this is exactly what Lenin is talking about here, is that he would like to maintain the version of Marxism that Marx created, whereas everybody else is trying to build in these liberal reforms into Marxism, and he is getting attacked for it. So to continue a little bit more. Oh yes, gentlemen, you are free, not only to invite us, but to go yourselves wherever you will, even into the marsh. In fact, we think that the marsh is your proper place, and we are prepared to render you every assistance to get there. Only let go of our hands, don't clutch at us, and don't besmirch the grand word freedom. For we too are free to go where we please, free not only to fight against the marsh, but also those who are turning towards the marsh. So I'm going to explain this a little bit more in detail in a moment, but basically here he is advocating for breaking away from the people who do not understand Marxism but are using it just for their own selfish ends. He is not advocating for big tent politics. He is not advocating for like reconciliation with these people that have fundamental ideological disagreements with them. He says, you do your thing and we will do ours. This is a strategy that we, I think, are not employing very well in the modern era. So this one, kind of like declaring yourself in favor of freedom. This is another idea that sort of sounds good surface level, but whenever you start to analyze it, it falls apart, right? So same thing with saying like, oh, aren't you in favor of freedom? Everybody loves freedom. A lot of opponents of this way of thinking would say, oh, aren't you in favor of working together? Don't you want to have a lot of friends who are also socialists? Like, are you sure you want to be so mean and angry and disagreeing with everybody all the time? And just like his statement about how the word freedom seems to be a cover for people to do evil things, this has also gotten just more and more true as time has gone on. Just recently thinking about the United States, again, sorry that I talk about the United States so much, but thinking about the Democratic Party in the United States, which has for quite a while advocated for kind of this big tent strategy. Just recently, Kamala Harris, during her presidential run, is inviting Republicans up on stage with her. She's saying that she's going to have Republicans in her cabinet. The Democratic Party itself runs the gamut between kind of like center-left fiscal conservatives all the way over to like DSA supposed socialists, and you might even find like the occasional like you might even find like the occasional communist in the Democratic Party. I said that, but now that I'm thinking about it, I really hope if you're a communist, please don't be a part of the Democratic Party. But anyway, this strategy led to a genocide in Palestine, right? This led to a genocide in Gaza. This didn't work. The big tent strategy didn't work. It's not winning elections. It's not making the world a better place. In fact, it seems to be making it an even worse place. So again here, Lenin's idea about if you have a principled view or opinion or an ideology that does not connect, that cannot be reconciled with another ideology, you need to break from that ideology. The DSA, this terrible organization that seems to allow anybody into its ranks regardless of what they believe, is holding votes about whether or not they should be Zionist or not, and it's not like it's not 100% to 0%, it is like 60% to 40%. These organizations are ineffective and they will do nothing. Okay, that's it for today. Thank you guys for listening. We're going to continue on with Chapter 1, Section B next time. So thank you very much. Bye.